Welcome. This session is called Stranger in the Mirror, and it is a book written by Rakeysh Omprakash Mehra. Welcome. Rakeysh Omprakash Mehra, as most of you know, is an Indian filmmaker and screenwriter, best known for directing movies like Rangde Basanti and Bhagavad Gita. And today he's going to be in conversation with Niranjan Thade, Dean of Academics at the M.V. Prasad Film and Television Academy. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Rakesh, you're primarily known as a filmmaker. And the little bit of brief that I have is you worked extensively as screenwriter, director, and producer. And your notable films are Rang De Basanti, Bhag Milka Bhag, Aks, Delhi 6. And all of them I recognize and remember for their treatments and the integrity of the maker, Rakeysh Omprakash Mehra. I would like to know that much before you became known as a feature filmmaker, you had your first venture away from the ad films world that you were in. And that was the first venture called Mamuli Ram, a docudrama, inspired by the work of Dr. Varghese Kurian, the man known as the father of White Revolution and Operation Flood and the brand Amul. After that, you had a dream called Samjhauta Express. The film that you had prepared for with a lot of commitment, but the film did not happen. In your book, you have briefly mentioned, Rakesh, that you took all your work on that film to your terrace and burnt it. My question is it cathartic to burn your dreams in a barbecue bonfire on the terrace? Do these dreams fly away or they stay around?
First of all, thank you so much for having me over, and really glad to see that there's a very healthy participation sitting behind you. And thank you all very much for coming out. I wish we could have done this in person, but you know how it is. So this is the way forward for the world, I guess. So on Samjhauta Express. It's a train that was introduced that used to run between Delhi and Lahore. And as the name would suggest, it was about Samjhauta between two countries, two brothers who had separated by politics, religion, and then the chasm kept growing. So the attempt of the train was to, bridge the chasm. And we left the story with the thought that unless and until we bridge this chasm of with love between nations and neighboring nations, the only other alternate is that we'll keep filling it up with the dead bodies of our children, of our daughters and our sons. Whether it's in wars or whether it's in proxy wars, and we are seeing so much of it, and all being puppets. But somehow, now this is like 20 years ago, both me and Abhishek Bachchan, we worked very hard on the film. We worked for a year. In fact, Abhishek maintained a diary of his character on which he used to write every day. His character name was Hassan Sarhadi because he came from a village which was on the Sarhad, which was on the border, as such. But I think 20 years ago, everybody felt, hey, you can't, the subject is too risky, too bold. It is, if you remember those times, even the newspapers and the journals used to call neighboring nation दूसरे समुदाय के लोग, we never said Hindu Muslims are fighting or Pakistan India has a problem. We would say neighbor and disguise, sweeten the pill and all that. But Samjhauta was calling the shots and was looking at ourselves with all the pop marks we have. And it was not pontification. It was not pointing a finger at each other. And somewhere deep down, I think I was also trying to reinvent the idea of patriarchy, which not necessarily means winning over the other person. It could mean bringing about a change in yourself. But the wiser people felt that it's too risky a film at that point of time, especially first film for Abhishek, first film for me. And the universe was about to conspire, but then everybody vanished. So I could not get over it, and it took time for me, and I could not move on. So I had to take all the material to my terrace subconsciously. It was not planned so much. And उसका मतलब अंतिम संस्कार करना ही था. Only then this thing does not exist. I have to do something else.
That something else, I think, resulted into a very, very stunning kind of a film called Ux.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my second question to you is, see, all creative people, including the writers and filmmakers, we all nurture our visions about life around us. But after reading your book, in which you have narrated your experiences with so many stalwarts from the field of film and also music and other technical things, one realizes that filmmakers, particularly, out of all the creative people, need to convince a lot many more people about their visions. It's not as easy as, okay, I have a vision, I sit down, I write a book, and okay, the publisher likes it and it gets published. You need to have all these other people. How do you put your visions across to those who would be having their own vision of life?
Making a film is a very expensive proposition. And from art, it kind of, some of us approach it as art and passion. And then the market forces, they approach it as business. So it becomes, the nature of the beast is that is commercial art. It's not fine art. It's, yes, it's some of us, we try to remain true to our thought and our vision, as you're calling it, or what you want to say. In that, the whole idea of the commerce of it also. So, but you have to do your job and you have to be true to your job. And a director's job is to say something, to tell a story, and to say something she is deeply moved about, and so she can share it with the rest of the world as such. Producing helped me in doing this. So once I asked Mani sir, Mr. Mani Ratnam,
okay.
I asked Mani sir, I said, Mani sir, how to do it? What shall I do? And he said, Rakesh, if you want to make the movies you want to make in this country, you'll have to produce them. You'll have to put your neck on the line. You have to take the risk, all that, at least to get started with. Otherwise, there will always be, too many cooks in the room as such. So that led me to producing it. Though at heart, I want to write films, I want to direct them. but it became necessary to produce them so I could tell the stories I wanted to tell. Keep a stake in them, not take direction fees and take back end money, put your own savings to show your conviction. So the big corporates and the studios, they did get convinced, and I must say, and I'm extremely thankful to them, that when they saw this guy with whatever means he has is putting everything on the line, and so he must be really convinced about it, or
Yes.
or the greatest fool on earth. Either which way, it's not a midway. So and so let's try it out. At best, we'll make a mistake. I think they were kind, and it kind of worked out. Yeah, in the long run, I feel when I look back, I think taking the risk, most importantly, giving yourself permission to fail, is an amazing strategy in the long run. Maybe in the short term, you might be thinking of the immediate fallouts, but normally it works out. Yeah. Or let me say it's worked out for me. Yeah.
It seems your conviction in your own projects and your own vision has helped you convince all the others to participate and be part of that.
Yeah. And once the director is convinced about what she is saying and what she really wants to say, that kind of is contagious. It spreads to the rest of the unit, and they come on board for that particular reason, not just for chalo ek film banate and let's make another movie, let's hit the box office with it. Then it becomes a different approach altogether. So I guess there are many cinemas and all are good, all have their place. There is nothing like mine is better than the other one. There are hundreds, as many cinemas are there. There are like so many cinemas. Yeah.
Okay, you're known for your excellent expressions through audiovisual medium. With your book, which is on display here, The Stranger in the Mirror, you have entered the world of literature, which is all about written and spoken language. How different is this world to you?
It kind of happened organically to me. It was not like I write all my screenplays, or I co-author them with other writers, and finally the screenplay I write for the movie. Even if I don't write the story, how the film will be told, how it will unfold itself on screen. So it was not that writing was new to me, but the form of writing was very different as such, because I was not lucky enough to go to a film school or work under anybody. It was very self-taught kind of a thing. So I used to read a lot of autobiographies and books on movies and what went behind them and what was the reason of making them. And whenever I used to travel anywhere in the world, I used to come back with a bag full of autobiographies of various people from the film business and maybe others also, interesting personalities as such. And when I came back home and I started looking for books of my favorite films, there were none. If at all, they were far and few, and they were based on some personalities at best. Why the movie was made, what went behind that person, what was the journey of their life, and So, you cannot separate somebody's work from what you are. And that's what I learned. So I always felt the need that at some point, I must share what went behind my films, uh, because it's important uh, to know why the film was made and what it was, and why uh, you failed at doing things which you wanted to say and you could not convey them. But there was a gap, definitely. So it started growing organically, and then a few of my films are also an extension of my childhood, my college-going days, my studying in Air Force School. So MiG-21s and Rang De Basanti, me being a sportsman, going to National Stadium, hearing stories from Delhi, growing up with stories of partition, stories of Dara Singh, Milkha Singh, Dhyan Chand, the three great sportsmen we had from the earlier ages, about British India. So when I read the autobiography of Milkha Singh, it was a thin in Gurmukhi. Somebody translated it for me. I realized it's talking to me. Always wanted to tell a story around the partition of India, which I think in the modern history of a country is the seminal moment. And then sports. And it was single-minded. It did not force fit a romantic story. The heroine of the film was the sister. So why can't the brother and sister be hero and heroine of the film? Because it's such a sacred relationship, and why can't we tell a story around that? Why can't a hero be an athlete, which is not our sport? A Sikh, which is not normally seen in Indian cinema as your lead player. So these were the questions that the commercial world asked me, and it took me a long time to raise the funds for it. But once we had believers, there was no looking back, because I knew the story I wanted to say. It was a story of human spirit, actually, and about the demons, in your cupboard. Yeah. And our biggest demon has been, as a nation, as a subconscious of the nation, has been the partition, and it still carries on. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the mention in your book about Milkha Singh refusing to go to Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
That there's blood in the air of my brothers there, and I can't go.
Yeah.
A lot of things. In fact, what happens is through your book, we go across a whole kind of an era, and with different kind of approaches. The multi-narrative, I think, works that way. Being a multi-narrative, there is Mr. A.R. Rahman, who says that you are an explorer. You know the destination, but are open to taking different roads to get there. And Amir Khan says that you're prepared to explore where different energies take you. Do you enjoy the flow of these explorations, interactions, while steering it to your destination? Or you take it as a learning experience that adds to your own understanding of life?
Lately the realization with me has been that I don't have a destination, and that I never had one. And if I was giving myself a destination, I was doing it because it is a common feature to give yourself an objective or a destination. It's a done thing. And since our schooling days and childhood days, we've been taught to you must have this aim and objective. Most importantly, I think subconsciously what worked for me was I had a purpose and I discovered a purpose also. What is the purpose? So for me, there was never a destination. You were working towards a purpose. It's not about a film, that a film will get completed, then, it will become a box office hit or flop or win you awards or go to the Oscars or go to festivals. It's not that. It's just that you are telling a story and then your next story is a continuum. It might have a different storyline. It will have different characters for sure, or different storyline. But as a story of your own life and your own purpose, it's a continuum. So it's very difficult to separate yourself from what you do. Or should we be separating ourselves from what we do? That would be like a very bipolar kind of living, I think.
Your most celebrated film could be called as Rang De Basanti. Rang De Basanti has had a massive appreciation and following from the society at large.
Mm-hmm.
Even people who are not regular moviegoers have upheld the film for the content and the message. After the huge response, thoughts of social change and social responsibility must have played in your mind. And those were pre-CSR days. Would you like to talk about your thoughts on this social relevance of films and the filmmakers? I know there is a mention of you doing some good work on this front in your book.
I think we're all social animals, and whether you're a filmmaker or you're a banker or you're a municipal worker who cleans the road every day, because we borrow from the society, there is a payback. Just because of that reason, you are not living in a limbo on your own. So I think that's what, in my estimation, social responsibility is about. It's not a noble cause at all. It's about just having the balance right and not to be under any obligation from the society, and as to keep paying it back. And if you can pay more, then in your balance you have a little more credit to spend as such. All that. It is not about good deeds and bad deeds. I definitely do not attach a halo around any social responsibility. It is your calling in life. You're enjoying it, so you're doing it. And that's about it. I feel in cinema, like I said, there are different genres. There can be musicals, there are action-packed films, there are socio-political films, there can be musicals which are socio-political, there can be action-packed films which are socio-political, there can be romantic films which are musicals, which we have in a country. But for me, storytelling and to say something through your work, it could even be like a statement in Mirzya, which is a film which didn't do well at the box office. But I was experimenting with it as a musical. Was like, why do we hurt them the most whom we love the most? I was trying to discover that.
That was the theme.
So that was the theme for me for that film. And I'm still discovering it, and we'll try and tell the same thought again and again in a different storyline till it's more crystallized in our own head. Yeah, we are all learning with whenever we are doing anything. Yeah, at every step.
Is there any book in the making after this, or is it going to be just the scripts?
Right now it's the scripts. I'm in between multiple scripts right now, and fortunately, two of them are close to completion. So I will know which film to make next now. Very soon, I think around 1st of January, I would have taken a decision. I'm in the next 15, 20 days, not because the date of 1st January or something, but I've given myself till the end of the year to decide to say which one to make next. And then there are other ideas and other lines which are also under development as such. So all that is going on. I've also attempted to, it was a very small attempt, but it was satisfying. I started working with 5 young filmmakers. I am from Ladakh, who had no facilities whatsoever. And 2 of them were from a village. One girl was from Nubra, from across Leh. And 2 of them were from Leh town and well educated. And all 5 made some beautiful short films. And each short film conveyed something very strong, had something very, very strong to say. So I'm very happy that I could be a catalyst of that. I enjoyed that. And I want to keep doing that as and when, the opportunity is there. Yeah. And we made the films at zero cost. Zero means zero, just tea, coffee, money. We borrowed cameras, we borrowed drones. Each film is very beautiful looking. All that is there, very well acted out. Just give our own pocket money and made the film. Yeah.
Okay, the technical aspect, the camera and the equipment and things like that?
Everyone today, you in your pocket, if you check, you're not carrying a phone, you're carrying a camera. So what I was trying to say, many years ago, or some years ago, a decade or 2 decades ago, if I am studying in, I can give you my thing. If I'm studying in, say, Balbat Air Force School, I go to Sri Ram College. And then I join a film school, I get to touch a camera. A moving camera. Camera I can make moving pictures with. Today, everybody, by default,
making moving pictures
is born with that. I think before you lose your umbilical cord, you have a smartphone in your hand.
I know. In fact, the whole kind of definition of filmmaking has undergone a big change.
Yeah.
At a very tender age, you're exposed to a language, new language, which is a visual language of all these moving images put together, and you start making sense. And so the whole classic way of making films, I think, is undergoing a big change there.
Thank God for that. Yeah.
Yes. So apart from filmmaking, Rakeysh, we would like you to talk a little more about the making of your book.
How
much time did you spend, and how did the memories come in? And
I think the real culprit is Miss Rita Ramamurthy Gupta. She is the one who was patient. It took us 4 years. And while I was doing my personal pieces, she was speaking to the multiple narrators of this book. And then we decided we're not going to edit them. At best, leave it to the editor to change the grammar, but keep it verbatim. And if there were any repetitions, take them out. Other than that, if each narrator has a different way of speaking, it's a different flavor. So the tone of the book keeps changing. It's like, you're traveling over different landscapes, and suddenly there's a desert, a mountain, an ocean, there's snowfall, there's rainfall. It's all going on out there. It's not one particular language the book is woven in. Language in the sense, the language of writing, not the language of how you understand languages. Yeah, and so while there is a Gulzar Bhai speaking in his own poetic way, there is Murthy sir, Mr. Narayana Murthy, who is speaking in his own way, who is a world citizen and is an asset for the world, not just India as such. He's a true son of the globe. And so he has his own perspective of things. So while Sonam Kapoor has her perspective, Wahida Rahman has her own perspective. Binod Pradhan, the magician cameraman, has his perspective. AR would have his own way of looking at things. And every optic is different. So which we just went to the feeling of it. It felt right. Yes, it was not done before, or I didn't have a precedent to it, but it felt right, so it was okay. Yeah.
In fact, it has a kind of a feel of something like a film which is built on a montage kind of a style. There are various kind of things coming in.
Yeah, I think so, because there was a filmmaker there somewhere. Yeah, that could be the logic behind it. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, this was great talking to you, Rakeysh. I'm sure the audiences would like you to say something before we wrap up this session.
Yes.
I would like to hear them if there's anything they want to ask.
Have any questions, please go closer to the.
Yeah, there are some questions.
And direct your questions there.
Yeah, you can come here and so that we can.
I grew up in FTII, and so I was only aware of parallel cinema or whatever it was called at that time. And then I began to understand Bollywood. And then I began to realize the simplicity of Bollywood, the running around of trees and bikini clads and all. But unfortunately, today, it seems to have invaded your planet completely. And people are dying young because they're unable to understand what is the mirror, what is the reality, what is the hero. And, should you really live life that way, should you burn out so soon? So, can I ask you some reaction?
I guess everybody has a journey, and every time has its own reality. And I am not wise enough to tell somebody how to go about their lives. I guess it's learning on the job, and life is a job. So there will be ups and downs. The only thing I can say is, and share from my personal experience, is the only recipe to success is failure. So just don't.
Yeah, but is today's youth able to grasp
Teaches you
that?
That's their problem. They are informed enough, and not a problem. It's for them to observe. A problem could be a very harsh word. It's for them to observe. They're very well connected, and I would say, on the contrary, it is the youth who is showing the way forward. It's not us. If we had to build a better world, we would have given them a better world. It is for them to take this kind of a distorted world from us. If we are not giving it, to snatch it away from us and give us back a better version, at least a 2.1 version.
Just one
So
last thing.
I believe in the youth in a big way. Yeah.
Hope for them. Just one. Do you think the army is really genuinely represented in Bollywood?
Sorry?
Army, since you said you have some affection for the army.
Army.
The army or the defense.
Army being represented in our movies you're talking about. I don't know where Bollywood is, so I have no clue. I once asked, I did a documentary called Bollywood, the Greatest Love Story, which opened the Cannes Festival for 100 years of cinema, where my first shot was I came with a camera out of VT station, went to a cab driver and said, Bhaiya, mere ko Bollywood leke chalo. And he looked at me strangely. Then I asked the other cab driver, Bollywood chalenge? He looked at me strangely. I asked the third one. He said, Aisa kuch nahi hai yahan. Ye Bombay hai. So there is no place called Bollywood. If I would ask the same in LA, the cab driver would take me to Hollywood. So it's a bastardized kind of a word. It's a name, and it doesn't make us Hollywood just by naming ourselves Bollywood, Tollywood, Pollywood, or Nollywood. It doesn't matter. It's a very frivolous kind of a thing. Yeah. So, yeah. So
I was wondering if there are some films you would like to suggest to anyone who wants to become a filmmaker. Anyone who's a budding filmmaker, they should watch some films. Like any films you would like to suggest.
Watch everything, and what appeals to you is your DNA match. So nobody can tell you this is good cinema and this is not. It's for you to imbibe and you to connect with it, and that will give birth to the originality in you, rather than trying to emulate somebody else. And because Godard did that, or Truffaut did that, Spielberg did that, or whoever. It is for you. Just watch anything, and if it sustains your attention for more than 10 minutes, keep watching. Otherwise, shut it off, move on. What's the big deal? And you'll find your own. You'll find what kind of animal you are. Yeah.
Knowing thyself is the best way to make a film.
100%, sir. Yeah.
It's a journey towards knowing yourself, and I can see that in all your films, all your themes, that you have been getting into yourself right from Hux, which is called. It says we have 5 more minutes instead of wrap up. If there are any more questions from there?
Do you find a difference in the different, as you said, Bollywood, Tollywood, the rest of it? Do you find any of them more realistic or more representative of social issues?
Can you repeat the question for me, sir? Because her voice was quiet.
Even I couldn't. Yeah.
I found that Bollywood has gone quite far away from reality, and I found that sometimes Tamil movies, for instance, have a slightly even the entertainment movies have a slightly more representation of realities of life. They tend to touch it. Do you feel that way, that certain areas or certain cinemas of certain states have today a greater feeling of reality?
I would not like to divide one state from another, one race from another, one country from another. Because it's a never-ending debate. Then you have to see Iranian films, you have to see some Taiwanese films, some Korean films. They actually they're playing on a different level altogether of realism. If you're talking about realism, it's also realism and escapism. They are forms of cinema. So while there's realistic cinema, there's escapist cinema also. A lot of people work very hard through the day to make 2 ends meet, especially in our country. And when they enter a theater, they don't want to face the same reality again. They want to escape that. That's why you see the only heroes in the world which get a milk bath, their posters get a milk bath, is from Tamil Nadu. And they are the envy of all heroes anywhere on earth. Let me tell you that. Harrison Ford must be wondering why Rajini is getting a milk bath and I'm not getting, and nobody even comes up to me and in the restaurant to share his glass of milk or whatever.
Thank you.
Good, sir. I think we have had a very nice conversation with you, Rakesh, and a lot of insights you have given us about your works, your filmmaking style, and also your views about the world and filmmaking.
Right, sir.
Very much for joining us, and all the best to you for all your future projects.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, namaskar.